It is time for the final new card release of the Blinkin' Time season, and this one is the highly anticipated Sasquatch. We are looking at another big dumb body throwing 10 more power into your games of Marvel Snap. So we're going to look at 6 different lists that you can play Sasquatch in. They all are vastly different from one another, from everything from a Dracula dump to the bounce where you expected to see it in. But first, let's make sure we understand how the card works and the mechanics behind cheating out some extra energy, or, well, I guess playing it for less energy. This effect, pretty straightforward. Sasquatch costs 1 less for each card you played last turn. The favored partner to Sasquatch is going to be the Mysterio, because that counts as 3 card plays. So that's going to automatically, with just the 2-cost Mysterio, discount Sasquatch down to a 310. Now, I hear you, that does put Sasquatch within Shang-Chi ability range, but we're not really seeing as much Shang-Chi as we had in the past, and also, he can't be everywhere. I think we're going to be fine with that 10 power, and actually, it's a good threshold to meet there, but this will, and I'm going to stand by my word here, be one of the best cards this season because it's simple, it's effective, and it does what it needs to do. So I would bet for the next few days, you're either going to see people playing Sasquatch or playing Mobius and Mobius. Either way, there's going to be a lot of weird pocket meta stuff happening. Let's delve into what some of that might be. Roll the tape. First up, we've got a new content creator on the Scouting Report. We are featuring a list by KingVenom, a Brazilian Marvel Snap player and content creator. This is the list I pictured in my head leading up to Sasquatch. The only thing that makes me wonder is Bast. Can the Bast dodge the Sasquatch efficiently or not? Or do we need to make some variations there? But overall, I think this list is going to perform phenomenally. We are running both of the bounce cards in Beast and Falcon. We've got every card in this is a good hit for Bast except for the Sasquatch. And you're just doing real good quality bounce stuff and throwing in the newly revamped and buffed Werewolf by Night. Might not seem like a buff, but 100% is. Being a 3-cost, being able to play Bishop or Werewolf on turn 3 and just start bouncing and growing power everywhere is fantastic. I do wonder about if there's room to squeeze in a Luke Cage to avoid any Shadow King stuff, to avoid the Sasquatch having a negative side effect from the Bast, but overall, this list I think is going to perform fantastically. Now, if we're being realistic, we're not doing anything completely revolutionary here with this kind of a list. This is your typical bounce package, just instead of having the Mysterio and the Hit Monkey, now we've got a Werewolf by Night and a Sasquatch. Preference. But if you really enjoy that playstyle of playing a ton of cards, picking them back up, playing them again, just having complete agency over where you want to allocate your power and just seeing things grow slowly over the course of the game, this might be the list for you. There's arguments to be made too for some switches here, maybe an Elsa Bloodstone, maybe you've got, like we talked about, the Luke Cage. You could even consider throwing in a Havoc somewhere if you're really wanting to get spicy with it because you got the new Havoc variant and you want a good excuse to use it. Another great Bast target. But there you have it. Grab this shell, make some customizations of your own, and have a good time over on ladder. And if the opponent is running your Mobius and Mobius, well, that's maybe where we need to look at one of these next lists that's slotting in some tech to deal with it. So now we're doing a whole lot more than just adding in tech. We're going in a completely new direction for a Sasquatch deck, and that's a Patriot build by Ika. Now, Ika loves to brew some off-meta deck lists, and this is one I'm super excited for. Again, let's keep some context here. This is day 1 brewing. I can't make any guarantees that this is gonna make your life so much easier. You're gonna beat everyone in all of your games, but if you want to have a good time, this seems like a lot of great potential to do so. We've got multiple cards that are going to either discount the Mockingbird or the Sasquatch or both simultaneously to be able to hold some big power back and then just slam it down at the end of the game. Your Squirrel Girl is going to discount your Mockingbird. It will only count as 1 card card play for Sasquatch, though. Keep that in mind. Your Mysterio counts for 3 discounts over on Mockingbird and 3 discounts for Sasquatch. We've got the Patriot and the Mystique. We also got more targets for Mystique than just Patriot. That's why we got the Iron Man in there, and potentially whatever you end up roguing. White Tiger is a nice little cheeky card to throw in the mix here, because with Patriot down, that Tiger does become pretty big. It's going to take some skill and some thought to make sure that you manage those 12 different slots, those 4 spaces that you have on each location appropriately, because you could fill up real fast and you don't want to do that. But overall, this is the kind of deck style that I personally do enjoy very much, so I'm excited to take this one out and give it a spin. Now, I'm super excited to see this one. Alex Coccia himself trying to bring Thanos back into the mix here. Ever since the multiple nerfs that Thanos got slapped with, he's fallen off. We don't really see a lot of Thanos in the metagame right now, but this could change it. We have so many big fat bodies that can just get slammed down and have a discounted Scar, have a discounted Sasquatch, a discounted Mockingbird, a 410 Call Obsidian. We got extra energy cheat with Hope Summers. The Black Swan is going to enable a free Sasquatch if you have multiple of the Infinity Stones in your hand. There's just so much to love in a list like this that I can't really see it going wrong. Like, I could see this not end up being the #1 deck in all of the lands, but I highly doubt that this particular deck will be bad. No way. I know we all hated Blob when he first was introduced into the game at 40-50 power, but right now, the very reasonable power that he can reach, it's a great way to just clean up whatever big bodies you left in your deck at the end of the game. Soloing a lane, typically, this is probably gonna be good, like real good. Now granted, the only tech that we have is the utility we get from the Infinity Stones as well as the Shang-Chi, but that alone might just be enough. So if you miss playing Thanos, down in the description of the video below, I have all of the deck codes to every single deck that we're talking about here. Go ahead, click that link, copy, paste, put it right into your Marvel Snap account, be good to go. And while we're at it, if you are enjoying the content and you're having a good time with these scouting reports and you want to see more of them, you want to see more content from me, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, write a comment, even if your comment is just, this is a comment. It helps a long way with the YouTube algorithm and getting more eyes on these videos, encouraging me to keep making more of them. But let's get right back to it. I mentioned this in the intro to the video. We have a Dracula dump deck that uses Sasquatch by a good friend, It's Guest Gaming. This one seems super interesting. It's not what you would expect. It's not the typical bounce list that you were thinking of for Sasquatch, but hey, it doesn't have to be. This is just a great way to put out some big numbers on the board, leave a big card in your hand. Dracula goes through the roof at 16 or 20 power. We've got armor to protect our stuff if we ever need to play out the Destroyer. We've got the Cosmo if we ever need to just stop the effect from going off completely. Sage gets huge value, as does Havoc. We just play a few cards at the beginning. We let the stuff grow and get big, and then we just try and make sure we only have one big card in our hand at the end of turn 6. There is the bit of added benefit that both armor and Cosmo can be very disruptive depending on what the matchup is, and you really can't underestimate the value that you get out of that disruption on top of the other big numbers it really does seem like you can put out here. Now, if you do decide to take out a list like this and pilot it yourself, I'll make the one small recommendation that your retreating condition is more than likely too many small cards in your hand going into turn 6. You can make a lot out of a little with this kind of a list, but too much could be a problem. But overall, it's unique, it's unexpected, it's a little spicy. I like it. We've only got 2 more lists left to cover, and we're going to continue down the path of spicy ones here by a Junksquatch, that's what I'm calling it at least, list by I don't actually know how to say this name, so we're just going to go with KX for now. But KX is consistently one of the top ladder players in all of Marvel Snap, and this list is a very cool, creative variation of one that we had seen previously, where you're running some of the junk package with the Sentry, the Annihilus, the Hood, and all that, but you also have some destroy elements to clean that stuff up in case you don't hit the Annihilus and can't send it over to your opponent. And then we just tag in now Sasquatch too for even more added benefit. You probably noticed that Squirrel Girl's in here just to get destroyed. You're there to discount system cards, and then as soon as we don't need it, we clean it up and do away with it. We want to try and get discounts on all three of those big top-end cards, Mockingbird, Sasquatch, and Death. We want to try and pull off the Sentry Annihilus combo if it is there. But overall, it just seems like very disruptive for our opponents while still putting big numbers out on our side of the field. Now, if you run into an opponent that's running armor like that previous list or Cosmo, you could be in some trouble here. It could get a little spicy, but outside of those tech elements that can really screw you up, you're probably going to be in pretty decent shape with this. So if you like the Annihilus gameplay style, if you like Lady Deathstrike, if you like discounting cards and then just holding them in your hand and throwing them down later, this could be the one for you. As always, all those lists, you know where to find them. Grab them up, baby. And last but certainly not least, we have a deck list by YoWoodyMJ. I'm calling it Big Zoo, because we're doing zoo stuff and we're adding big stuff too. I know, I'm like super creative. But over here, it does kind of feel like a big zoo with the amount of big fat cards that we are swarming all over the place. If you manage to get a Cull Obsidian, a Mockingbird, a Sasquatch, and a Scar down, that's a lot. That's a lot of big fat boys. And then we add the extra benefit of having Shadow King in here. Not a single card that needs to worry about being affected negatively from that. The Dazzler could get all the way up to a 2/8 if we fill up the entire board, not even counting 2/9 with Blue Marvel. Mysterio discounts things. We've got the extra small little baby cards to play out later if we don't hit them early, and then discount Sasquatch. There's just a lot to love here. I particularly like the Chimera just for the added protection. If we do play out our Sasquatch early, it's nice to know it's not going anywhere, and it's nice to feel safe from a Killmonger. Now you might be asking, is a list like this playable, like let's say without Mockingbird? You got Sasquatch, you didn't get Mockingbird. My answer is, I don't know. It's a bit of an expensive list. We've got 5 Series 5 cards, and so the variations there I'm unsure of. I know that you could definitely swap out things like the Ant-Man, the Echo. The low-end stuff, you could take some agency and liberty to make changes that you want to for your current playstyle, but the big bodies do fill in the point of the deck. So if this one does seem out of reach for you in your current collection, I totally understand, but if you have the access to these cards and you like the old school zoo playstyle, I know that was one of the first archetypes that I really fell in love with when I started playing Marvel Snap. This could be a really nice, refreshing, nostalgic list to take out there and play. I dig it. That wraps things up for this week's scouting report. Now, if you're liking the content and you want to see more gameplay, let's say you want to see some examples of how these decks are being piloted, maybe some talks about the decisions that were made and why they were made, let me know in the comments below. I'm considering expanding and adding some more content throughout the week, maybe some gameplay, some explainers, some matchups, what's good, what's bad into these different lists, and how to navigate those different dynamics. Let me know. The feedback is always welcome. I respond to as many comments, if not all of them, because I can for now, and I would love to hear from you and maybe put out some more content in the future. But overall, thanks for sticking through this one. I'll see you next week for the brand new season. Let's go.